Member for Karamui-Nomane.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Speaker. I have a short question without notice directed to the Minister for Information and Communication. But especially before I ask the question, since it will be my first time to take the chair, speak in this honorable house, I take the opportunity to thank my good people of Nomane Karamui for giving me the mandate to represent them on the floor of this honorable house. By way of background,
Member for Karamui-Nomane. Unfortunately, the minister is not in the house.
I think the Prime Minister is in, is the ministers of all the ministers, so he could take note.
Ask your question.
I'd like to direct the question to the Honorable Prime Minister.
Ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Speaker. As we have read over the last couple of days, the print media, post-Korea and national, have been having a field day, running very negative stories, front headlines about the law and order situation in this country. One instance that comes out is the publication of graphic photographs of people being beheaded somewhere in Medang. It's not somewhere in the third or fourth page, it's on the front page of both the national and post-Korea. And then there are other stories about pertaining to law and order and crime in this country. Mr. Assistant Speaker, as you know, the media is a very, very powerful tool. And the way they're flying their trade, do create a very bad perception about this government. They're portraying to the people of this country and the whole world that we are not managing law and order situation in this country. And some people would say that the Constitution does provide for freedom of speech and information and expression. I understand, and being a lawyer myself, I know that the right to freedom and expression is a qualified right, and it's not absolute. The exercise of that right is subject to the other rights provided for in the Constitution. And as a responsible government, if we don't address this issue, it has the potential to create more problems going forward. So my question to the Honorable Prime Minister, since the Minister for Communication and Information is not here, as a government, are we taking any measures to address this issue? Because if we don't, we're destined for more problems, the way I see it. Thank you.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Assistant Speaker, Milaktok, thank you. I just want to appreciate the good question by member for Karamui-Nomane, and also congratulate him. I think it's the first time he's asking a question on the floor. Not just congratulate him on the good question he asked, but for his election into office. Brings into our current stock of parliamentarians depth, exposure, wisdom, and I want to appreciate his presence, and his question is important. Our media companies in our country, whilst they have the total freedom to write or to print or to sell information or disseminate information to our country and to the world out there, they must also appreciate and take some responsibility. You look at Sydney, there is more crime also taking place in Sydney or in other parts of Australia or elsewhere in the world. But those newspapers don't run front page headlines all the time. Some sense of responsibility from our media is important. We don't stop you from running, but give some cover and some good stories up front once in a while. Continue on painting negative image to our country doesn't help in the area where you do business inside. But going forward, we're looking at some of these areas. Media and journalism accountability will be stepped up. You write story, we must write story with your name attached to in the bylines. And if we're also looking at defamation penalties, if someone is defamed, we're looking into these laws, and early next year some of these laws will be promulgated and will come before this Parliament in terms of defamation charges and penalty for defamation, in terms of media accountability to correct reporting and not based on hearsays, not just on the formal medias we have, but in some of the social media platforms. These are being looked upon so that the writer or the spinner of information is actually spinning correct information in society and not fabricated or not fake, not false, not inferences or inferences that can carry greater lie and false than truth. Those areas we're looking at to make proper, correct, factual information being disseminated in public space. And I just want to appreciate this question. We're taking stock of this matter. Freedom of speech is a qualified right the writer and the person holding the pen has. Right fact, right truth, right actual things that are happening in society, and not based on hearsays, not rumors, and not false or not fabricated. And to our two main media companies, the print medias, who have daily headlines, we don't intend to impinge on your right of editorial and the cover that you have every day, but have some sense of responsibility to our nation. You can run these stories, but run them behind cover. Run them second, third pages. There are enough news around. Today we had 7,000 tourists visiting Rabaul, for goodness sake. These are good stories to run, instead of constantly painting negative, because we all live in one house called PNG. This house cannot be destroyed, it must be strengthened. We don't intend to dilute the role of media, but we ask the media to also have a fair responsibility to the country they make money for. Thank you.